welcome to SimpleSpiritualityPH. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Regine. I'm an intuitive, manifesting-based tarot reader. I am a certified Reiki healer and an overall lightworker. And before we dive into today's episode, I would like to invite everyone who would like to receive notifications of my new videos to please hit the subscribe button over there. If you like this video later on, please give it your thumbs up. If you have any comments, suggestions, you want to say hey, please do comment them down below. And if you would like your very own tarot reading or Reiki healing session with me, online for now of course, here are the details. Alrighty, and let's get to the meat of the video. Now, today hopefully will be the only video you'll ever need about the retrogrades. And I have been, so I'm getting distracted. There's construction at the back, at the side, and I'm wearing like this little mini top. So maybe let's first start with what a retrograde is. So a retrograde is really when a planet seems to be moving in a different axis. In a different direction on its axis, of course, in a different direction as it usually does. Now, I did some fact checking on this, and the planet itself does not really go in a different direction. So it's really just an illusion. It's the illusion of the planet moving in a different direction, or actually the opposite direction of what it usually moves, of its usual axis, right? So if, for example, if the planet moves clockwise, then during the retrograde, the planet will seem to be moving the other way around. And I actually confirmed this. I really made like a research about it to see if it actually does move in the actual direction. And lo and behold, it does not. So it is an illusion, just like the illusion of us thinking that everything is going to bits and pieces during this time. So that is the first thing. Retrograde is when a planet, so the definition is retrograde is when a planet seems to be moving in the opposite direction of what it usually moves in. So again, if a planet goes in, if a planet moves on its axis in a clockwise motion during retrograde, it will seemingly move in a counterclockwise direction. Okay, now that we have that all cleared up, and by the way, guys, I just wanted to emphasize my hair today. I actually was going through my makeup bin, and I said to myself, oh, I was picking out the makeup which was expired and which was not, and I decided to do a fun little look. And my hair was up like this so that it wouldn't go to my face while I was fixing it, and I just went along with it. I just played along with it. So just a little segue. Whenever you feel like having fun with yourself, go ahead and do it. Just like I did today. I never expected this look today. I wanted something regal today, but I guess this is actually really, really fun. But anyways, let's get back to the retrogrades. So, we've established what a retrograde is, right? And now next, let's establish what people usually think about or feel during the retrograde. So the most common things that people think about during a retrograde, or the most common things that rather people expect during a retrograde. During any retrograde, the people's expectations, as I've come to learn and I've come to notice, even with my clients and other friends actually, is that retrograde is a time when things go haywire, things fall apart, things aren't smooth, things are not going to go your way, basically. It's a time where you need to be cautious. It's a time when you don't start contracts. It's a time, contracts. It's a time when you don't start or end things, basically, whether it be, again, contracts, relationships, friendships, whatever it may be. But it's basically that time. And these are the most common things that I hear from people, even from my clients and from other friends. Now, the thing is, we as humans, everything, every group, group meaning classification, like animals, like for example, monkeys, dogs, cats. For us humans, we have what we call a collective consciousness. So think of it as kind of like our collective grid, uh, as what Abraham Hicks calls it, the grid, right? We have something called the collective consciousness, which is basically our group's consciousness. So as humans, we have a collective consciousness, and that includes our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings even. We have that. And that just simply means that whatever majority of us feels, thinks, believes, and focuses on will likely, I'm not saying will, okay, will likely be expressed in members of the same collective group, right? So, for example, this is the reason why twins or triplets or quadruplets, sometimes when one twin feels sad or one sibling feels sad, the other also feels sad, regardless of whether they're in close proximity physically to each other or not. That is that connection, right? That's a very classic, very strong example of a collective grid between twins, or a collective grid between amongst, rather, not between, amongst quadruplets or triplets, perhaps. So that's one very clear example. Or it doesn't even need to be triplets or twins or quadruplets or octuplets or something like that. Even family members or even groups of friends, right? When one friend seems very happy, then they can also easily affect or influence the feelings of other friends, even if they aren't in close proximity. That's an example of how we can input our feelings, our thoughts, feelings, emotions into the collective grid, and it'll be transmitted and received by other people who are really, really close to us. Now, imagine during retrogrades, imagine everyone thinking like this, that the retrograde will bring about, what do you call this? The retrograde will bring about confusion and loss of communication, lack of communication, will bring about arguments, will bring about, what do you call this? Delays, will bring about non-smooth things, Imagine inputting that into the collective grid. And because we are humans, because we have the signature of humans, we can likely receive that kind of information, that kind of feeling, that kind of emotion as well, by virtue of the fact that we are included in the same grid. Okay, so that's just one premise that we're establishing. And keep that in mind as we go along this explanation of how to use the retrogrades for their purpose. All right? So keep that in mind. Remember the collective grid, okay? One person can input into the collective grid, and other people can receive that as well. They can allow this to influence them or to not influence them. But in one way, shape, or form, they can, I'm not saying they will, they can be more, what do you call this? More sensitive to whatever is being inputted in the collective grid. All right? So keep that in mind for our explanation. Now, we're going to the juicy part. How do we use the retrogrades to our advantage? So here's the thing. The retrogrades, just like negativity, is really a time for you to focus on yourself. We as humans usually live for other people for majority of our lives. We live for our husbands, for our wives, for our friends, for our families, sons, daughters. Like even there are some people who live for their job, for their bosses every single day. And they barely, and I can attest to that as well when I used to be employed in a huge company. People barely have the time to cater to themselves, to think about themselves, to take care of themselves. And the retrogrades are very much telling us to turn things around and start with ourselves first. We oftentimes, again, put others before us, and this is not the way life should be. Remember that we can only give that of what we have. And I actually would want to extend this saying to we can only give of what we have extra of. It's not about emptying yourself out in order to fulfill someone else's needs. It's not about emptying yourself out completely for others. Although some religions do preach that, I have to say that that is one belief that I do not agree with. We don't have to be empty. In fact, if we're empty, what else is there to give? There's nothing to give. You can't pour a glass of water if the glass is empty or if the jug is empty. There's nothing to pour, right? There's nothing there. It's basically a vapid space. That's what it is, right? So you can't do that with other people, and most of the time we actually do this. That's why we experience burnout. That's why we experience being disrespected a lot of times. That's why we experience feeling like a failure or not feeling enough, because we don't give that energy to ourselves first. So whenever the retrograde comes, the first thing you need to do, really, is to stop catering first to the outside world. Now, this doesn't mean to completely stop doing things for other people, or to completely stop working, right? Or to completely stop taking care of other people and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that. This simply means that if you're giving a person, place, thing, event, your job, maybe perhaps 60%, during the retrograde, you give yourself the 60%. It's time. The retrograde is a recalibration for you to check up on yourself. And the first thing you need to do, right, is to stop giving 60% to the outside. So again, this includes people, places, things, even animals, people, places, things, animals, inanimate objects, your job, perhaps if you're doing too much work. Turn it around. Give 40% without compromising quality. All right? So stop giving 60% and give the outside 40% without compromising quality. That is the first thing you need to do. All right? You don't need to stop completely. You just need to know that, hey, I can give the minimum without compromising the quality. By compromising quality, meaning, let's say, for example, if it's your job, giving 40% doesn't mean that you suddenly start missing deadlines. No, that's not even the best version of yourself, right? Giving 40% means that I am going to do what I need to do, but I'm also going to recognize when I need to rest. I'm also going to recognize that when it's out of office hours, I'm going to stop working. And I'm going to let people know that they need to respect my time, just as they need to respect their own time, like work hours are 9 to 5. What are you doing calling at 7 p.m.? Stuff like that. All right? That's the first thing. Number 2, so the second thing you need to do is to start putting the 60% to yourself first and foremost. All day, every day, build a foundation of self first and foremost whenever it's retrograde. All right? Retrograde is the time for you to go inside. It's like the universe is giving you a free pass to suddenly start focusing on yourself, because you don't. Let's face it. A lot of people, in fact, I would beg to, I would actually not beg, I would go as far as to say that 90% or 99% of people on this planet will not live for themselves first. And that is that's dangerous. That's dangerous living, you know? That means that we're not taking care of ourselves enough. That means we're not checking on ourselves enough, checking in on ourselves enough. That means that we're not giving ourselves the time, the attention, the love, the care, the acceptance, the energy, the power that we need for ourselves, So, using retrograde to its advantage, taking retrograde and using it to your advantage essentially means, what do you call this? Turning it on yourself, turning your energy on yourself, putting the focus on you, building a foundation of yourself, building a secure and stable concept of yourself, checking in continuously with yourself. What are you thinking right now? Are your thought patterns positive? Are they negative? Are they leading you towards the better version of yourself? Are you being kind to yourself enough every day? How are your emotions? Where are your emotions at? Are you overfeeling? Are you overthinking something right now? What things can you deal with? What things can you really um, process for yourself? What good things can you expand about yourself, and what negative things can you process and transform, transmute about yourself? It's all about you. Now, this is actually extremely beneficial for those who are conscious manifestors. Remember, we manifest 24/7. We never stop. Whether you want to or not, whether you believe in it or not, you're always manifesting. And some people use manifesting to consciously, right? Meaning they make the conscious decision in order to get the things that they want, like specific things that they want, right? This is extremely beneficial for conscious manifestors such as myself, because one of the things that's really important in conscious manifesting is having good self-concept. I see manifesting it as a three-part thing. So it is your what you feel, think, believe, and focus on about and act on about yourself, what you feel, think, believe, and focus on and act on about the dynamic or the relationship that you want to manifest, what you feel, think, believe, and focus on about about the other thing or the other person or the thing that you want to manifest. And one of the biggest factors of that is actually your self-concept. The first one, the first thing you should address is really your sense of self, your self-concept. How worthy do you believe yourself to be in order to get what you want? Do you have enough faith in yourself in order to get what you want? If you don't, then use the retrograde for its purpose to build that foundation for yourself, right? And it's not just about the manifesting, really, although that is one of the greatest benefits of it if you're a conscious manifester, but just for yourself, you know? Who wants to live life feeling down that they aren't worthy? Who wants to live life feeling that they are rejected or unloved by themselves, right? Who wants to live life with very low self-esteem and not do anything about it? I mean, I'm not saying that, what do you call this? I'm not raining on people who find it difficult to do this, right? But I hope that this will be kind of like wake up, a wake up point, Everything has to start somewhere. And if you want a better life, if you want better self-esteem, if you want more confidence, then it all starts with yourself, right? So that's how it goes. So there, that is number two. So to recap a little bit, number one, stop giving majority of your effort, time, your everything to the outside world. You know, you can give 40% without compromising the quality. That's fine. Step number two, or tip number two, rather, give yourself majority of your effort. Give yourself that 60% that you are looking up. Sorry. Yeah, give yourself that 60% that you need to give, you know? Turn the turn the focus around and turn it on you, turn it on you so that you really reap the benefits of it. Again, treat it like a retreat, you know? If you've ever been on a retreat, that is the focus of it. You kind of like just stop everything and go to a secluded place, right? I mean, typically, this is what retreats look like. You stop everything, you bring minimal things, you go to a far off area, and you just focus on yourself, depending on the retreat that you're taking, right? But it's usually you focus on yourself, maybe aspects of yourself that you want to improve, maybe things that you want to learn, but the focus of a retreat is usually for yourself. And even during retreats, you usually will stay in like individualized sleeping quarters, at least from my experience. You usually will stay in individualized sleeping quarters. You don't usually mingle as often as you would. Uh, Compared to, like, for example, a party or a workshop. You'll probably mingle during group work, you'll probably mingle during lunch, dinner, or cocktail hour or something like that, if a retreat is something like that, discussion time. But after that, you go into your own space and you focus on what you've learned, you focus on yourself, you build up on whatever skill or trait it is that you want to, like, build a foundation on. So that is really the purpose of a retrograde, is for you to finally realize that, hey, I got some stuff that I need to work on. I got some stuff that I want to applaud myself on. I got some stuff that I need to check within myself. What are these things? What can I improve? What can I retain? What can I celebrate? What is it about me? It's all about me, 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 me during the retrograde, right? Now, the third suggestion that I would really, really want everyone to know is, um, well, this is actually an unpopular opinion, I would say, but I think it's going to help you very, very much. I have started to adopt it, and it's helping me loads and loads and loads. Now, the third suggestion is really for you to stop watching out for the retrogrades. One of the things, we're going back now to the concept of the community grid, right? The communal grid that we have. So the communal, what do you call this? The communal energy that we have. Imagine loads and loads of people thinking and vibrating that the retrograde is a bad time. If the majority of the energy of this grid is about that, if the majority of the energy of this communal grid is about failure, is about delays, is about fear, most especially, then what do you think? What kind of energy do you think you'll wake up to every single day? And then imagine yourself seeking out when the retrograde is and confirming that energy, even though there's no basis for it. Do you get it? The influence of the grid will always be there, but it's always up to us to accept it, be influenced by it, be bothered by it, or to incorporate it in our lives. So it's always up to us. The grid will always be there. And yes, we will always be susceptible to what is vibrating in the grid. But then again, if you have, again, a strong self-concept, if you know for yourself that you won't be swayed with all of this stuff, if you're very stable and secure, then this emotion, this feeling, this emotional grid won't really, it won't even affect you one bit. And part of that is actually being oblivious to when the retrograde is. A lot of people accept the energy from the grid once they know that it's retrograde, right? Once they know that it's actually the retrograde. It's kind of like, how do I say this? It's kind of like you're scaring yourself first. So I'll tell you a little story. So last year, my parents had the Delta strain of COVID, and everyone in the house tested. My dad tested positive. He was the very first one that tested positive, and my mom got it next. She didn't. She tested negative, but she got it a few days later. And what do you call this? I took the test with my mom. We actually all took the test on the same day. Everyone in the house took the test on the same day. And it was only my dad that got the positive results. And so a little while later, like a couple of days later, my mom started to cough. She started to lose her sense of smell, her sense of taste. She started to feel fatigued, and she started to feel what do you call this? She started to feel the flu-like symptoms, and she started to get nervous, right? And so by that time, of course, we were already consulting with our doctor. And our doctor was already giving medicines to my dad, and he gave us actually the same. After my mom got positive, she told us to drink the same medicines. Everyone in the house, regardless of whether they were positive or not, um, what do you call this? We all took the same medicines just to be sure. Now, remember, my mom tested negative. During one of the consultations with our doctor over the phone, it was a teleconsult. She told my doctor, Doc, do I need to take another test, to check if it's positive? Maybe I need to check, maybe I need to get an x-ray to see if it's positive or not. And our doctor simply said, why are you going to do that? Why are you scaring yourself? You're already nervous now. I'm already giving you medicines. I'm already telling you that you're going to live through this. Why in the hell would you want to take a test to make sure that it's positive and to look at your lungs? We already know what that's going to look like. We know that it's going to be positive. We know that your lungs aren't going to look great because it's the Delta strain. So why do you even still want to do that? Why are you preempting yourself with fear? Why are you looking for more evidence that you are indeed sick? I'm already telling you to just drink the medicines and get lots of rest, Just enjoy your time in bed because you're going to get you're going to be isolated for a long time, you know? And so it's kind of like this. The doctor was telling my mom to not get the test anymore and to not get the x-ray anymore because she didn't want my mom to be more susceptible to it. And she actually did say this. The doctor said, what are you going to do when you see that it's positive? What are you going to do when you get scared from seeing your x-ray? It's not going to make you better. She actually said this. And so the same thing applies here. What are you going to do when you find out that it's retrograde season? So you're going to anticipate that things aren't going to go well. You're going to anticipate that that things won't go your way. You're going to anticipate delays. You're going to anticipate arguments. I would rather, this is something that I've been doing for a couple of months now because I am really pissed at Mercury retrograde. I hate it when I see it on my timeline. Oh, it's Mercury retrograde. I literally just roll my eyes now whenever it's Mercury retrograde, you know? Because all of a sudden, when people see that, oh, it's going to be Mercury retrograde, they start to panic. And there's no reason for that. If you are calm, if you are secure, if you are stable, you don't need to do anything. You just need to live your life. Thousands, millions of people all across the world live life without ever knowing what a retrograde is, and they live perfectly happy lives. They aren't affected by the communal grid. You know why? Because they don't tap into it. They don't tap into the fear. They don't tap into the negative connotation that we've given the retrograde. When really the retrograde is really all about just going within, you know? So, the third thing that I want you to do, if you want to be free from this mumbo jumbo, although mumbo jumbo but retrogrades do exist. The third thing that you need to do is to stop anticipating the retrograde. I want you to stop checking when the next retrograde is. Whatever retrograde that is, be it Venus, Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, Mars, whatever it is. Stop checking for when it's going to be. Stop checking for the dates. Do not anticipate. Just live life erasing retrograde from your canon, from your mind, from your emotions. And you'll find that you'll actually live so much better. You'll actually be in control, you know? To end this kind of like discussion, these are the only things that you actually need to know. Is that, again, first things first, stop putting majority of yourself out there meaning stop doing things um, that compromise you, and stop putting most of your energy, rather. Stop putting most of your energy towards um, pleasing other people, towards the outside, basically. Put 40% of your energy, of your time, of your everything on the outside without compromise. That's for sure. Number two, give 60% of your energy, of your everything to yourself. All right? To yourself. Everything for yourself. Number three, stop checking for retrogrades. Stop looking up when it's going to be. Stop checking for when the schedule is. Like completely erase the concept of retrograde from your mind, from your knowledge, basically. And to end that, I actually have a astrologer friend. She's the best astrologer, of course. Her name's Monique. She owns on Manila. Shout out to Monique. So she's always, every time I would tell her in the past, it's going to be Mercury retrograde, or it is Mercury retrograde. And she would always tell me, like, okay, don't really care, it doesn't do anything. And this is from an astrologer, you guys. This is someone who literally, literally uses the planets, the stars, the everything, the zodiac to make a living. This is from a person who focuses on it 24/7. She doesn't care about the retrogrades. Neither should you. All right? If at all, you know, if at all you can't stop yourself from really, really following the retrogrades, at the very least, affirm for yourself, saying that the retrogrades will always benefit me. At the very least. All right? So that's what I want you to do. I hope this was helpful. I hope this is the only video you'll ever need regarding how to use the retrogrades, and I hope it's useful for you. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, suggestions, you want to say, hey, please do comment them down below. If you would like to receive notifications of my new videos, please hit the subscribe button over there. And if you would like your very own tarot reading or Reiki healing session with me, online for now, of course, here are the details. And that's it, you guys. Stay happy, stay healthy. Please, I beg of you, stop checking when the retrogrades are. You don't need a planet to tell you. You don't need my cards, to tell you. You don't need astrology or your zodiac to tell you how to be in control of your life. You don't need any of that to tell you how to be in control of your life. You just control your own life, and that's going to be it. Be convicted in it, all right? So don't play victim to retrograde. You can use it for its advantage. You can use it as a gift, actually. It is the gift for you to finally focus on yourself. You need to focus on yourself. You need to know yourself inside out. You need clarity inside out within yourself. You need to know everything about yourself in order to live, in order to manifest as well the best version of your life. And in order to be the best version of yourself. All right? That's it. I will see you guys next time. Ciao for now, guys.